Welcome, coaches, to another wonderful night of the IFCA Journal podcast. I'm your host, PJ Hedrington. I have a special guest. Now, again, as many of you know, I am a Hawk fan, so this is kind of an honor to me. I'm also a Fresno State Bulldog fan as well, but this is a true friend in the profession and the coaching. He is by far one of the best teachers that I've been around. And one of the coolest dudes that I know. So here's his bio. And again, coaches, I want you to listen to this bio because his path is a windy road with a lot of turns, and of course some ups and downs. But he's endured and through faith and through perseverance. So I want you just to listen to this bio, okay? So our guest is Kelvin Bell. He started his career at Iowa City, Regina, 04 to 06, Cornell College, 06, 07, Wayne, 08, 09. Okay, then he was at Trinity. I believe it was 11. What years?
Yes. So Trinity for one season, 2011. But they always want to know about the gap, PJ. So
Okay,
after Wayne State College, it was Pharmacy Matters in Iowa City, Iowa,
wow,
delivering pharmaceuticals to nursing homes. It was Transamerica in Cedar
wow,
Rapids, reviewing life insurance policies. It was
man,
Heartland Express Trucking Company in North Liberty
wow,
as a dispatcher.
wow,
Those
wow.
3 jobs in the year of 2010 before I got back into coaching in March of 2011. So then March 2011 picks up at Trinity International University.
Right, and coaches, he was with a good friend of mine, Kurt Ware, who was the head coach there
Kirk
at
Ware
Trinity, as a
Kirk
great
hired me
great
off the
man,
street hired me off the
man.
street.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and again, Kurt and I, we've always talked about Calvin. One of and again, Calvin was an O-line guy, okay,
Mhm.
and he was great, probably one of the best, okay. But I'm gonna finish his bio. But again, coaches, I hope you're listening to this. This is again the road to be a Power Four coach. Again, it's not all cupcakes and rainbows. Okay, so he was Bill Walsh mentoring coaching fellowship. He did it for the Vikings, Giants, Dolphins, and Bengals. Okay, that's impressive. He's coached several All Americans on the defensive line, as well as Big Ten All Conference players. And us Iowa people who's been here. I mean, I've been here. I'm a transplant from California, but I've been here almost 30 years. He has taken him, Reese Morgan, and a few other assistant coaches have taken some of our best Iowa high school players. Parker Hesse from Waukon, Sam Brinks from Kemper Catholic, Matt Nelson from Cedar Rapids Xavier, Anthony Nelson from Waukee, Joe Evans from Ames. He's taken those guys and developed them into great football players. I mean, on this list, you look at Joe and Parker; they were high school quarterbacks. So that's impressive. So I mean, if you can do that,
Don't
that's
forget about don't
go
forget
ahead,
about Aaron Graves from Southeast Valley, Max Llewellyn from Urbandale. Don't
man.
forget about those guys too.
Yeah, and he's like again, coaches, as the list goes on, and he's got a wonderful wife, Natalee, and one son, and he's the man from Mississippi. So again, our guest tonight, I should say, is Calvin Bell. What's up, dude?
Can't call it, man. Can't call it. Just just you know,
Yeah,
I'm pleased to be here. I'm pleased to be able to give back to the high school coaches and anyone that's listening. I think it's good to listen because sometimes we find some similarities in our stories and our paths that may give someone the perseverance to keep pushing. And then from a coaching standpoint, you may pick up something new or it may just reinforce what you're already teaching to let you know you're on the right path. So anytime I can be a resource to help grow the game, I'm going to do it.
all right, that's good. Let's get started. Okay, first question: what's your coaching philosophy?
You know, I got into coaching, PJ, because it's an incredible platform to be able to mentor young people. I grew up in a single parent home. A lot of the positive male role models in my life were my coaches, not just my football coaches, but little league baseball coaches, track coaches. I got into the sport because I had an understanding that sometimes kids would say they would listen to mom and dad, they would listen to coach before they listened to mom and dad. So that's a responsibility that I did not take lightly. And so my goal is to be the voice that I needed when I was their age. That's my philosophy. It doesn't get down to I'm not trying to get everybody to the NFL. I'm not trying to make you all Big Ten and all those things. I'm just trying to develop you through the rough spots and hopefully you make better decisions than I have on my path to where I am right now.
Mm. Well, I just wanted to say amen, but that was good. You got me
Yeah.
ready to go. Woo! That's good. The good philosophy. All right, let's transition this to the football aspect of it. Okay, what's your
Mhm.
philosophy or your defensive line philosophy? Okay, again, I threw some names out at you, Parker, Sam, those things. But what is your defensive philosophy as well, teaching philosophy as well?
Okay, so I learned a lot. When I first started coaching, the person who I want to thank the most, probably the person that I leaned on the most, was Reese Morgan. And people don't know this. I was Reese's assistant in 2016, 2017, 2018, and then he retired and I took over. But I was the assistant defensive line coach, so I was able to learn a lot from him. But the teaching goes back further than that. When I got the offensive line job at Cornell College, Reese Morgan was the first coach that I reached out to. And at the time, he was coaching the offensive line at Iowa. So I would come back and, spring, and I would be in Reese's meetings. I would be in the drills learning. And a lot of the philosophy, whether it be O line or D line, I get from him. In players, Reese used to always say this: every kid needs a coach that believes in him. Kid needs a coach that believes in him. And so everybody that's sitting in that defensive line room has an understand there's a finite amount of chairs. Okay. So if you're sitting in that room, I believe in you. Okay.
Right.
If you're
Yep.
sitting in that room, I believe that you can do it. I believe that you can. And what we ask our guys to do, what I ask my guys to do in the defensive line room, I'm not expecting them to be all Big Ten. I'm not expecting them to be all American. I'm not expecting them to be NFL players. But what I do expect for them, what I do hold them accountable to, is improve. I believe that everyone can improve. And the ingredients to improving, PJ, I look at three things. Number one, attention to detail. Okay. You cannot be Helen Keller. And what I mean by that is you can't walk around the world not being able to see and not being able to hear in terms of the details of what we're trying to do. Okay. You cannot, you have to take notes. You have to ask questions. You have to be maniacal about the details of what it is you're asked to do, not only
Right.
from a football standpoint, but just operating as a college student athlete. You have to be able to ask those questions. That's important. That's number one. Just know what to do. Pay attention to detail. Number two, all out effort in everything that you do. Okay. Whether it be physical, whether it be mental or emotional, you need to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward in everything that you do. There is
Right.
no halfway, there is no half ass. There is no,
Right.
oh, I wasn't trying. Let me do, everything you do, you need to make sure you're putting your best foot forward because it may be your only one time to do it. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
And then
Yep.
the third one, which is probably the most hard, is you have to have honest self-evaluation. And that's part of my job as a coach is to give you honest, concise feedback on where you stand and what you're doing. You're not always going to like what I have to say, but
Mhm.
hopefully you'll understand that what I'm saying is
Right.
truthful to you. Okay. And then it's up to you to get it changed, or it's up to you to make it better if it's not what you want to hear. If you
Correct.
can do those things, pay attention to detail, great effort in everything that you do, and then be honest about where you're falling short or honest about your performance, you will improve. Okay. So for our young men that transferred here in January, if
Mhm.
they follow those three rules, they'll
Right.
be considerably better come May.
Right.
Okay. And if they continue to follow those rules, they'll be considerably better in August and in the fall. Where we're going to have a problem is if it's December and we're still coaching the same thing from a mistake standpoint that I was coaching in January. Either I'm not coaching it well enough or you're not really grasping what we're doing. That's going to be the problem. So in terms of my philosophy, I do believe that every kid can
Mhm.
improve, and I do believe that. I do believe in the kids that are in the room, but I'm going to hold you accountable to improvement. Okay. And what maximizing your football ability looks like is going to look different for every kid. Some kid I may maximize his ability, and it may be he's a special teams player, and that's all he ever was. But we got the most out of it. Some
Right.
kids we're going to maximize, and they're going to be Sunday players. Okay,
Right.
but
Yep.
that has nothing to do with the coaching that they get. It's just some kids they have more
Ceiling.
potential than others. It's just the way it is. They have a higher ceiling. I want to
Right.
make sure that I want to make you reach your ceiling, but more importantly, I want to raise the floor of the room.
Right. Okay. Well, hey, I'm gonna cut before I get to this next question because again, you laid a lot of nuggets out there, and I loved it. Number one was attention to detail. Number two, all out effort. Number three was honest self evaluation. So those are good things. So coaches, make sure again you're writing this down. It's good stuff. Now the next question I got for you is, okay, I'm a young coach. How do I develop that philosophy through my first couple years? How do I develop that?
I think, there has to be a reason why I think you're called to coach. I think if you understand the reason why you're called to coach, I think your philosophy is going to go hand in hand. If you got into coaching with the sole purpose of, well, I'm getting into coaching because a, I want to coach D1 football, your philosophy is going to reflect that.
Right. Very true.
And you might not want to share that with everybody because your why is different than everybody
Than everybody
else's.
else's. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think the reason why you got into coaching is going to show in your philosophy. I'm not one to toot my own horn. I don't brag on myself, but I've heard people say this. People think that I'm a really good teacher. To me, coaching is teaching. It's about being organized, okay? It's about taking complex, subjects, okay, and making them simple, okay? It's about getting your kids to retain the information and also create new information for themselves, having different ways of getting information to people. Not every kid is gonna learn from you sitting in front of the meeting for 50 minutes and talking. Sometimes you have to
Correct.
incorporate a walkthrough. Okay. Sometimes you have to incorporate spreadsheets and handouts for them to look at. I mean, all of that goes into teaching. And I think you'll figure out those things if you're into coaching for the right reason, or you'll figure out how to climb the ladder really fast if that's what you're trying to do too. Okay. But that's not coaching.
Right, right, and don't
That's
you
not
think
coaching.
and I b right, and I believe this. I think your philosophy kids can see your philosophy truly through what you how you coach. I believe that wholeheartedly. So that's a good one.
Yes.
That's good. Alright.
Kids are not,
Okay.
kids are not blind. They're not blind.
No, no. They see it all and they hear it all.
Yep. Yep.
Alright, number 3. Okay. Alright, so we're switching gears now, making sure that again we're gonna start camp, all those things. Alright, what are some of your day one teaching points for your defensive line?
Okay. So really four things that we harp on that are base fundamentals. And the number one being leverage. I think offensive and defensive line play, you need to make sure that your players have a very clear understanding of what leverage and what you expect from a leverage standpoint. We talk about our players we tell our players there are two types of leverage. Okay. There's vertical leverage, which is low man wins. Okay. Words create pictures, PJ. We try to tell our guys that we want their eyes underneath the chin strap of the person they're attacking. I think that is a very clear visual. As you sit, you can daydream and think about or see pictures of guys striking with one guy's eyes lower than the other. Okay. So that is vertical leverage. The other type of leverage is horizontal leverage. And that is having your wrists and hands and elbows inside the framework of the person you're attacking. So if your eyes are under the chin and your hands and elbows are inside, we think you've won the leverage battle. And
Right,
with the understanding that the leverage is going to change 4 to 5 times over the course of the snap. So
right,
it is about your determination. It is about your grit. It is about your want to and your willingness to continue to maintain leverage and strain for your leverage. So leverage is the number one fundamental. Number one fundamental. The next thing we talk about is blow delivery. We have to teach our young people how to deliver a blow because that is not something that is germane and not something that is natural for everybody in the room. Okay. Especially if you've been the biggest
right,
kid at
right,
your high school. If you're the biggest kid at your school or biggest kid in your conference, you don't necessarily need to be a great blow delivery guy because everyone's smaller than you and you knock them all back. When you get to
right,
this
yep,
level, the size is going to equal out. So you need to learn how to deliver a blow. And that comes from, we talk about 3 points of contact. Okay, we talk about our eyes being the first point of contact. Where do your eyes strike? Okay, where are your eyes positioned when you deliver that blow? And then where are your hands when you deliver that blow? Where are your hands and elbows? And it should look
mhm,
like a triangle. Okay. The top of the triangle being your eyes.
Right.
Okay. So that's the top point of the triangle. The base of the triangle are what we call supinated hands, just like holding a bowl of soup. Okay. When your
Mhm.
hands are supinated, your thumbs are up, your knuckles are out. So between the supinated hands and the eyes, that is the triangle in which blow delivery starts. And the force in which that triangle hits people is generated from the ground through your ankles, knees, and hips.
Okay.
Hip flexibility is important. It is paramount. It is paramount. Anyone with explosive and flexible hips is an explosive athlete. Those are your dunkers. Those are your violent tacklers. Those are your violent blockers. They have supreme hip flexibility and explosion. I didn't say bench press. Okay. I'm not talking about the bench press.
Right. Yep.
That
Yep.
does not create explosive blockers. It is all lower body. It is your hang cleaners. It is your squatters. Okay. It is your jerk and snatch. It is your Olympic movement. It is your broad jumpers. It is your long jumpers. Those are your explosive people. So leverage, blow delivery. Okay. And then the next fundamental that we teach, separation. And this is where recruiting comes in. Okay. Now, here at the University of Iowa, we don't have enough status, okay, to go around and say, okay, we'll take this kid, we won't take this kid based off of a tape measure. I'm trying to get the best football players that I can get, regardless
Right.
of the height, weight, and the speed. But I
Right.
do have I understand that some men, some boys are just longer than others. Okay, so if I'm looking at wingspan and I'm looking at arm length, okay, the guy with the longer wingspan, the guy with the longer arms is going to have the ability to separate at a higher rate than the guy with the shorter arms if they're applying the right techniques and fundamentals. Okay, you take a guy with great wingspan, you take a guy with great arm length. If he's not applying the right techniques and fundamentals, he's not going to separate to his full potential. Okay, you take a guy with short arms, not a long wingspan, but he's applying the fundamentals, he's going to separate to the best of his ability. Okay. So separation creates vision. Once you engage in blow delivery, once you strike, and then once you separate, now you're able to gain vision on the ball carrier. And this is where a defensive lineman's money is made. If you want to be a productive defensive lineman, you need to be able to effectively and violently get off of blocks. You're going to get a block every play. How effectively can you separate from that block, disengage from that block, find the football, and make the tackle? Okay, so the last fundamental is getting off blocks. And I teach two ways of getting off blocks. Okay,
Okay.
if you look at a defensive lineman who's in a head up technique, okay, if he's in a head up technique, he has two gaps. Okay,
Mhm.
we talk about our primary and our secondary gap. If the ball carrier is attacking your primary gap, I believe in pushing the upfield shoulder and crossing over with the off arm. We call it arm over to my primary gap. That's how we teach getting off blocks to our primary gap. If the ball carrier is cutting back, then he's cutting back to your secondary gap. I believe in planting my play side foot or my primary gap foot, plant that foot, and then a violent shrug down and away back to my secondary gap. Okay. And the reason I teach those two get offs or those two separators, those two disengages, is because they
Mhm.
keep you squared at the line of scrimmage. I don't teach a rip because usually when guys rip, now you're turning your shoulders, you're turning your hips in order to disengage from the block. And now you better be right. You better be right to go that way because if you're not, your chances, because you're no longer square, of getting back and being productive are slim and none. So I'll recap. Leverage is number one. Number one
Mhm.
fundamental. Number two, blow delivery. Teach the guys how to deliver a blow. Number three, separation. Force the guys to separate. Okay. Force them to separate with good hand placement, knuckles out, thumbs are up. And then number four, we have to get off the block.
Okay.
Okay. We have to get off the block. So when my defensive linemen are watching tape on themselves, PJ, when they watch practice, when they watch the game, those are the four things that show up the most. They can tell you, oh, my blow delivery is poor. Oh, my leverage is poor. Okay. Oh, I got to get off the block here. I should shrug here. I should arm over here. I
Right.
did not separate enough. Those are the
Right.
things that they should be rehashing to themselves.
Okay. Now, hey, I'm gonna again, quick question here, okay? If I'm that 8-man coach or that class A coach, and I've got an undersized D lineman, he's 5'7"
Yes.
or he's 5'8", okay, can I use these same techniques and same skill sets to teach this stuff to him to help him get off of blocks? And what if I'm struggling with it? I mean, I mean that I guess that's my teaching, but
Yes.
how do I develop that kid in this process?
Now, yes. So the thing that I appreciate about these fundamentals, and I got these fundamentals from Reese Morgan. This is who I and Reese is a high school coach at heart. Okay. And
100%.
in the
Yep.
in the high school, I mean, in the high school days, maybe more so not as back in the day, you got what you got. Okay. You went down to
Right.
ninth grade or eighth grade, you saw who was coming up, you got what you got. I believe all of these fundamentals can be taught regardless of size and
Correct. Okay.
regardless of
Okay.
what type of front you run. If you're sticking and slanting, okay, or if you're playing blocks, at some point in time, you're going to have to encounter someone who's trying to block you. These
Correct.
fundamentals, these fundamentals will cross over there. Okay. And you may be bigger or they may be bigger, but all of these things still come into play. And if you have a guy who's 5'8", 5'9", then guess what? He's got natural leverage. Teach him how to use it.
Right. Yep.
Teach him
There
how to
you
use
go.
it.
Good. 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 Coaches, again, I hope you're writing this down. I'm writing down as fast as I can go, and I know I get to listen to this over and over again, and so do you, I guess, in some way. All right. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to get into the nitty gritty. I feel like we're already in the meat and potatoes of our talk already, but we're getting there. Okay, and you kind of touched on this too. Can you go into some teaching points for teaching stance, head placement, and get off? You kind of went over it, but I'm sure there's some other things you can touch on too.
Yes, yes. So I think you can't have a good you got to start out a football play with a good stance. I don't think you can, if a guy's stance isn't number one, effective and efficient for him. I think that is important, PJ. Kids come in all shapes and sizes from 6'6" to 5'6", and to try to standardize the stance for everybody, I think is unfair because their bodies are different. Their legs are different. The arms are different. We try to tell our guys to get into a comfortable stance with the proper weight distribution for whatever it is they're trying to do. If you have an attack front and a front that's attacking, that's going forward, I believe your stance should be feet should be shoulder width apart, okay, with a slight stagger, toe to instep. But the difference should be if you're in an attack stance where you're going forward, you want, your guys attacking and going forward, their hips need to be above their shoulders. Okay. And if their hips are above their shoulders, you're talking about putting 75 to 80% of the weight on the down
And I'm
hand.
going down. Yeah. Okay.
Think track, okay? Hips above the shoulders. Regardless of an attack stance or a read stance, which I'll get to next, we're big believers in the offhand. The hand that is not on the ground needs to be positioned to strike. You'll see our guys at Iowa loop their thumb in their face mask so that when the ball snap, they waste no time, okay, cocking that hand back, winding that hand back, and delivering a blow. You want that offhand because it's not on the ground to be the first
Hmm.
thing that comes out when you come out of your stance. So
Right.
if I'm an attack front, shoulder width feet, slight toe to instep stagger. Don't be hard on the stagger because the 6'6" guy stagger is going to look a lot different than the 5'11" guy stagger. But if the hand is down, you want that foot back. So right hand down, that right foot's going to be staggered, but the hips need to be above the shoulders. So when that ball is snapped, they have no choice but to go forward if you're in an attack front. Okay. If you're in a read front, okay, if you're in a read front where you're not asking your guys to attack, you're asking your guys to read and see the screws, the V of the neck, the tip of the shoulder, whatever it is you're having them read, okay, then you don't need your hips above your shoulders. You can play with a flatter back. Okay.
Right.
And your weight distribution can be more 60-40, 60 in the hips, 40 in the hand. Because you're going to be activating when the ball is snapped, the first thing that's going to be activated are your feet and your eyes. Your hips are going to be last. If you're in an attack front with an attack stance, the first thing that's going to be activated are your hips. That's why we need them above your shoulders so they're cocked and ready to go. Okay,
Okay.
does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. No, no, you're good.
Yeah.
Like I said, yes.
Yeah.
And I think our listeners, like I said, they're right. I'm sure guys are writing down and pausing and getting collecting things. That's perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So that's
So
perfect.
so when you start off the stance, like I said, definitely hips above the shoulders. Don't negotiate that if you're in attack front. If you are in a read stance, it's still shoulder width apart with the feet. Okay. You know, a toe to instep stagger. You don't need a big stagger in a read stance because your feet are going to activate first. But you need to make sure that they can see something, and everybody sees something different. Some coaches coach via the neck. Some coaches coach screws of the helmet. Some coaches coach tip of the shoulder pad. Whatever it is you teach, they need to see it. They need to be in a stance where they can see it. That's why the stances are different.
Right. Now, out of that stance, false steps. If I've got some, that's always a thing with younger athletes, always.
Yes.
Okay. How do I squash it right away? How do I squash
So
that? Do I
so yeah.
Go ahead.
I think I'm a big in terms of the football, I'm a big believer in muscle memory. Okay. You need to have certain drills. And when I think about false steps, PJ, I think about teams that are reading. Okay.
Right.
Because
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
you should not false step in an attack front. False stepping in an attack front is like false stepping in a 100-meter dash. I don't know that you can do that because your hips are above your shoulders. You got so much weight going forward, you can't help but go in one direction. So I don't see the false step in the attack front. Where I see it is in the read front. Okay. And you have to drill that daily. You have to reinforce the muscle memory. Okay. I'm a big believer, and this is the offensive line coach in me coming back. I'm a big believer in knees leading feet or knees driving feet. Don't talk to your guys about getting their foot there. Talk to your guys about getting their knee there. If they can get their knee where they needs to be, the feet will follow. Okay. So we say feet first, it's really knee first. Okay. It's really knee first. And you have to train that. And the thing that you have to train, PJ, are the eyes more so than the feet. You have to train the
Right.
eyes because it's
Right.
just like if you were a baseball player and you're at the plate and you're getting ready to swing that bat. If that pitch is low and outside, the first thing that's going to register the pitch being low and outside are your eyes.
Eyes.
And then it's going to transfer to your hands and arms to really extend that bat to hit that low and outside ball.
Right.
If that ball is high and inside, the first thing that's going to register that ball being high and inside are your eyes. And that's
Right.
going to tell you to pull your hands in and shorten up that swing. It's the same thing in football. If you got your eyes fixed on whatever it is you're telling them to, your feet will react to what they're doing.
Okay.
On the flip side, if they don't see it, and they come to the line of scrimmage and they're guessing, then your feet are going to be messed up because they've
Yeah.
already told themselves before the snap where it's going to go and it's going to look really bad. So you have to, but that has to be trained. That is not natural. Okay. So whether it is uh, a mirror drill or a one-on-one key drill where you put an offensive lineman and you give him a direction to go either right, left, or pass, that drill during your individual time is invaluable if you're a read front because that's what you need to train the most to make sure that your guys are as efficient with their feet as possible.
Okay.
You got to train it.
That's good stuff. All right. What key drills do you use to improve getting off a block? So what drills are you using getting off a block? What do you
So there's really one drill that I use that emphasizes getting off block, and it is my separation drill. And it is a drill. It's a separation drill where we start with a single arm. We start in what we call the negative, so a poorly leveraged position. Let's say if I'm going to my right, I'm going to be on the left half of the offensive lineman. Okay. And
Okay.
I want to strike and steer the upfield shoulder. Okay. Press that upfield shoulder, gain the separation.
Mhm.
Sometimes I put a ball carrier back there. Sometimes I don't because I don't want to really mess up the flow of the drill. As you get more advanced and used to it, you can put a ball carrier back there. But for the starters, I do not put a ball carrier back there. But they strain through the block, not around the block, through the block, even though they're in a negative position. Okay. And once they gain separation, okay, they're already instructed whether they're going to arm over to their primary gap or if they're going to shrug back to their secondary gap. That is already understood. Though that drill right there will force guys, that's our training for getting off with an arm over or getting off with a shrug. But I think here's the real key, PJ. We don't do a drill. Any drill that we do, whether it is blow delivery, whether it is separation, whether it is on the sled, whether it is on a man, we have a get off for every drill. Every drill, our guys will exercise the right to get off a block. If you catch your guys engaged, your defensive linemen that are engaged,
Mhm.
okay, either in an individual rep, in a group rep, in a team rep, and they don't violently shrug or violently arm over in an attempt to get off the block, that's a poor job of coaching, in my opinion. You cannot
Correct.
yell at your coach, you cannot yell at your players about
Right.
getting off the block on Friday night if you haven't harped on it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of the week. And everything that they do,
Right.
they need to be trying to get off blocks.
Okay. Now, 2 things there, okay? And again, I
Yes.
like I told you, we talked about I'm gonna throw things at you just for that coach, okay? Is that a full extension, all right? Are we locking out or what how when I make that strike and I extend,
Yes.
do I
Yes.
harp on the little things as getting fully extended and then arm over?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So going back to the fundamentals, go back to the fundamental things that we talked about: leverage, blow delivery, separation.
Separate. Right.
You cannot get off the block if you haven't separated. And whether you have 30-inch arms or 34-inch arms, if you haven't used all 30 of them, you're not going to get off with the efficiency that you need. Okay.
Right. So I need to
If you're
fully
going to
extend.
use,
Yeah.
you need to fully extend in order to get off of a block. Okay. Because in this, especially in our league and in high school too, holding is radical. I mean, it is going on every single play.
Every play. Yep.
And if you're not separating to make the holding obvious, you're going to continue to be held. You have to separate. So going back to your point, yes, as much as we teach the getting off the block, the arm over and the shrugging, the separation needs to be there. You can't have one without the other.
Right.
You
Okay.
cannot have one without the other.
Good. That was just like I said. That was just I wanted to make sure again because you see it all the time, especially as a college coach. You see it too when you're breaking down film. Okay, a
Yes.
guy gets here and he doesn't think that he's fully he can get off. He doesn't. He's got to get full separation. So yeah, that's a good teaching point there. All right, this is the last question, my man. You are moving through this. All right,
Oh, man.
I know, right? How does your teaching fundamentals translate to game play?
Yes.
Okay.
That is a great question, PJ. And when you sent me that, I was this is huge. We have to be efficient, okay? And you ever heard of teachers, principals, high school administrators always say catch them doing it right?
Yep.
Because we're big on correcting kids when they're doing something wrong, but we never
Correct.
catch them doing it right. Okay.
Right.
You have to highlight the behavior or the actions that you want,
Right.
and you have to celebrate them. Okay? You have to
There you go.
celebrate them.
Thank you.
Okay? Some of the drills, you can't just go through, or let me take this drill from Coach Bell, or let me take this drill from Coach such and such, or just to fill the time in your individual.
Right.
Emphasize the skill that you want, emphasize the technique that you want, find a
Right.
way to drill it. And it may not be prescribed, it may be yours and only yours, and you came up with it, and it's good for what you do. Don't be afraid to try it. Don't be because just because, Larry Johnson at Ohio State or Kelvin Bell at Iowa or go down the list of defensive line coaches across the country. If they don't have it, don't worry about it. If it works for you, you use it because it
Right.
gets your guys to do what you want them to do. So when you're watching your practice tape, when you're watching your game tape, when you see aspects of your drill work show up, clip it out. Clip it out and use it in the off season to reinforce to your guys this is why. These kids nowadays want to know why. Why do we do this drill every day?
Right.
Why are we doing it this way? Well, when you can catch glimpses of your drill work, either your guys doing it or it may be something you see on Sunday Night Football where guys doing, hey, this is our drill. Find that drill, clip it out, and show it to your players to continue to reinforce this is why we do it. And I think
Right.
what you'll find out, PJ, the number of drills that you do will significantly diminish because you
Mm,
don't need to do
that's a good
everything.
point. Yeah.
You don't need to do everything. You just need to do what works for you.
Right. Right. Well,
That's I think that's
yeah, that's golden right there. If you didn't coaches, if you didn't get anything else from that, that is 100% perfect because I think all of us as younger coaches, we did all these different drills. Okay. And then all of a sudden, as you get older, you realize, okay, I don't have to do all these. These are just time fillers. I got to do the right
they're
things.
just time
So,
fillers. Yep.
yep.
And as you watch tape, I'm big on this. If it's not showing up on the game film, stop doing it. If it's not, if what you're teaching, if you get in clinic and you talk about it in clinic, you talk about it at clinic, but you're having to find, you're going through a needle through a haystack to find this one drill that you do and how, stop doing it. Stop doing it because
Well, that's
it's
hard.
not
That's
translating.
hard. It's
Yeah,
hard for
yeah,
us coaches, right?
but it's hard for us coaches. So, but the big thing that is humbling, okay, is because it's happened to me before, specifically when I coached offensive line. I was doing all of this stuff, and then the coach would be like, "But your guys aren't doing. You talk about this, but your guys aren't doing this on tape."
Right,
That
yeah.
is humbling. That is
Mhm.
humbling. So if
Woo,
it doesn't
yeah.
show up on tape, you need to stop. You need to stop doing it and do the things that show up for your guys on tape. Okay. And if there's something that you don't like, find a drill that's going to create good habits for your players. Create the habits that you want through your drill work.
Okay. All right, that's good. I tell you, what, I'm sitting here looking at the time, and I'm like, man, we're at 39 minutes. I was like, hey, can we go an extra 20? I
Yeah.
just, hey, this is good. And again, this is the coaches around the state. Like I said, wherever you're listening from, again, there's some key nuggets that Coach Bell is sharing tonight, and man, you gotta steal a couple of these because that's what we're our profession, and we're the best thieves in the world.
No doubt.
We are. So I usually do a goofy question, but I'm not gonna do that with you tonight because it's totally different platform. For me, again, us being friends and stuff is a little different. But instead, what I want you to do is what do you guys got going on? Coaching clinics at Iowa, camps or anything? If you want to share something about the program to our coaches across the state, you're more than welcome to do that. I'll give you a couple minutes to do that, and then I'll get your email at the end of when you're done with that, okay?
Okay. Okay. So a couple of things. I'm glad you mentioned that. On Friday, March 27th, we will have our annual Iowa Football Coaching Clinic. Okay. That will start on Friday at March 27th and will bleed over to Saturday. I'm sure guys have been to it before. I think the price is $55. And what you're going to get for $55 is you're going to get a chalk talk session with the defensive coaches. Myself, Coach Parker, Coach Wallace, Coach Neiman. And you can sit in on either one that you want. And then you're going to get a special talk from Phil Parker, the defensive coordinator, that'll give you an overarching program view defensively. You'll get the same thing from the offensive coaches, and those will be on different times because we understand that sometimes the high school coach coaches offense and defense. You want to sit in on both. Coach Barnett and I will not be talking at the same time. So Coach Barnett will go for a time, and then after an hour, I'll go. Okay. There will be beverages and pizza and chicken wings and all that stuff going on here, and you'll get our undivided attention on Friday night. I think there'll be a recruiting presentation by our general manager to talk about, the state of recruiting, where it is with the high school kid and how that pertains to Iowa. That will be Friday night. On Saturday, there will be a position specific drill time that will go on Saturday morning. Again, you'll be able to go to both. Defensive coaches will go at a certain time, offensive coaches will go at a certain time. And then you'll be able to watch our first padded practice of the spring, which is always spirited. There's always a lot of fur flying because it's the third practice of spring, but it's the first fully padded practice. So it's really juiced up. I think it's a really good environment, followed by a lunch that is catered by Hy-Vee. So it's a clinic that I enjoy because I get a chance to sit with a lot of high school coaches that I don't get a chance to see a lot during the season. And they get a behind the scenes look at, if they have a player on the team, they can watch him practice up close and personal. I think it's a great opportunity. And for $55, I think it's pretty good. So that is what's coming up. We will be practicing. We will start spring ball. That clinic is on the 20th. We'll actually start spring practice on the 25th, and we'll go Wednesday the 25th, Thursday the 26th, and then Saturday the 28th. Those will be the three practice dates. After the first week, we'll go Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings. Tuesday and Thursday morning will be at 7:15 a.m. Saturday morning will be at 10 a.m. Okay, so those are the dates and those are the opportunities. The next thing I will hit you with, and I think this is important to all coaches. And I am I believe in teaching our young people, and I want to teach our young people everything. I want to teach our young people all sides of the coin. Okay, not just if I just used my platform as a coach just to talk about the X's and O's. then I've severely failed these kids. Okay. Because I get an unbelievable amount of FaceTime with these young people. And I want to make sure that we are creating thinkers, not believers. I want my young men to think for themselves. I want my man to question what's going on. I do not want them leaving here just as ignorant as they were when they showed up here as freshmen. I hope that they leave here with a sense of curiosity, with a sense of empathy, and just really have an understanding of what their role is in the world today. As coaches, we are the masters of history. All we do is study the past. Okay. We don't look forward as
Mhm.
coaches. We look backwards. We watch tape. We review film from years ago to try to anticipate the tendencies and the things and try to predict the future. Don't be blind to that. Okay. Don't be blind to that. We're the greatest historians out there. We can tell you what happened on this day, on this field 18 years ago because we remember. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Don't forget. Don't forget. All right. That's my advice to the coaches.
Good.
Study
Good,
the
good, good.
past. Study the past.
Well, see, he's just dropping nuggets all over. That's gay. That's good. Yeah. All right. Um, how do I, if I'm a coach, how do I reach you? What's a good contact information for you?
The best way to get a hold of me is to shoot me an email, but yeah, the best way, because my phone gets inundated with text messages you wouldn't believe from a recruiting standpoint, whether it be high school coach I just ran into or prospect or player. So, the email is the best way to get a hold of me. And that is Kelvin with an L, Kelvin -bell at hawkeyefootball.com. Kelvin Bell at hawkeyefootball.com. Okay. Shoot me an email and please say, hey, coach, or hey, Coach Bell, or hey, Kelvin, because the guys that are just like coach or this right there, I usually end up deleting because those are some type of listserv or something. Yeah, it's just some type of listserv. They send it out to like a million different people. So if you can't be specific about who you're trying to get a hold
Oh
of,
man.
you're not gonna get a response.
That's
So it
true.
needs to say, hey,
That's true.
Kelvin. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But if
I
it
get
just,
it.
hey,
I
coach,
get it. I
don't do
get it.
that. Don't do that. Let's be specific. Let's be
I
specific.
get it. I get it. I get it. All right. Well, Coach Bell, again, you are truly an amazing person, and thank you so much for sharing. Coaches for across the state of Iowa, again, we're blessed to have him in our state, in our institution, being able to coach our young people and being around. So, again, Calvin, I appreciate you so much. Coaches, thank you so much for listening. Remember, you can listen to the IFCA Journal podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe. And again, hopefully you guys are having a good winter is spring. And like we always say on the podcast, keep grinding. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.